Patriots on this glorious, glorious Savage Wednesday. You know what time it is. We've got Savage Rich Barris on deck. He has so much to talk about with this guy. But what I'm most excited to talk to you about, actually, I'm excited to talk to you about most of the show tonight. But what the Christmas poll, it's tonight. Rich has the results back of his Christmas poll that he releases every single year. We're going to go through it with you all tonight at some point when we get him on. And let me tell you, like, this is cool for me because we had Rich on this show a year ago on this day talking about the Christmas poll. And as we continue to do the show and build muscle memory, we're also building a little bit of a tradition. And I got to say, folks, it's kind of cool. So Savage Rich Barris on deck. Stay tuned for that. We're going to talk about the new continuing resolution, the new CR, and really why it's hot garbage, the Trump transition. We're going to talk about going on offense. So much to talk about today. But let me tell you, this new 1,500 page continuing resolution is a disaster for a lot of reasons. I mean, for me, there's so much here. How do you get into all of this? But for me, I think if you're in the U.S. House of Representatives, whether a long-term incumbent or a newly elected member of Congress, your job is to very simply represent the people and make sure that their voice is heard in Washington. And first and foremost responsibility of that is making sure that their tax dollars get spent responsibly. I mean, taxation in this country is out of control. It needs to be reformed. Yes, of course. But I just can't wrap my mind around the optics of a 1,500 page continuing resolution that is just one irresponsible spending program after the next. I mean, we are $36 trillion in debt right now. Our country hit and exceeded the debt ceiling. We can't even afford to pay the interest on our debt payments right now, let alone the actual premium. This country is in big trouble. Our debt has really made us a sinking ship. We're sinking slowly over time. If we continue business as usual, there will be no returning. There'll be no returning from this one-way trip to the bottom of the ocean. I mean, understand, and this is like a no bullshit assessment, folks, that every single person in this country right now is born saddled with over six figures of debt. I mean, your share of our national debt is well over six figures at this point. And many House Republicans, Chip Roy being one of them, and many of certainly the members of the House Freedom Caucus said that they wanted three things added to this spending bill, which they wanted to be a clean spending bill, not more of the same. And really the problem is, in addition to all the irresponsible spending, the Democrats get every damn thing that they want on the front end of a Trump administration, which would be a disaster, because buried in this spending bill are one little trap after the next of how to stifle President Trump's agenda. It's a disaster on so many levels. But so many House members that I spoke to today, they said they wanted an agreement from leadership to follow the 72-hour rule, which is essentially the 72-hour rule gives legislators a mandatory 72 hours to read and understand what's in a bill. Common sense, right? They also wanted to vote on returning non-defense spending to pre-COVID 2019-2020 levels, which would save over $100 billion. And they wanted a straight-up ban in this CR on selling off the remnants of the border wall. Folks, all of this is, to me, it's eminently reasonable. None of it made it in the bill. And it makes me wonder why. I mean, I know that Republicans are in the majority. It's a slim majority. We understand that, but Republicans are still in the majority here. The things that were asked for to be added into this bill, especially given all the other insane bullshit that's in it, it's not that much. And what's more is this. Have a look at this. A motion to quash or modify. Upon motion made promptly by a House office or provider for a House office, a court of competent jurisdiction shall quash or modify any legal process directed to the provider for a House office if compliance with the legal process would require the disclosure of House data of the House office. Do you know what that essentially means, folks? I'll leave it up there. But on the heels of the report that the Department of Justice obtained emails of Adam Schiff and Eric Swalwell proving that they leaked classified documents to the media, Congress has then now inserted language into this spending bill, into this continuing resolution, which would allow it to quash any subpoena Kash Patel or Pam Bondi might use for House data, which could in turn hold members of the January 6th committee accountable for their many crimes against this country, against Donald Trump, against his allies. What this provision in this continuing resolution does is essentially cripple any investigation into Adam Schiff and Eric Swalwell. It's a disaster. So just give you the full story on what's happening here with the CR. Talked to many members of the House today. You know, most of the people that I talked to in the House, they're all on the same page with me. If I were down there, I'd be a hell no on this, 7 days a week and twice on Sunday. But Elon Musk came out strong against this bill. And based on the people that I'm talking to down there, I'm telling you that when Elon Musk said on Twitter, on X today, that any Republican who votes yes on this bill should be voted out of office in 2 years, I am told that is like a bomb an Elon bomb went off on Capitol Hill and sent members scrambling. And I'm told that the bill is hemorrhaging Republican support. Now, by the way, you shouldn't have needed Elon Musk to say he's going to fund a primary challenger to just be opposed to this, right? But nevertheless, the bill is hemorrhaging Republican support, and that's a very good thing because this bill is an abomination. Now, Trump and J.D. Vance oppose it. They released a statement. I think I might just read it to you because I want you to hear the whole thing. Trump and Vance say, the most foolish and inept thing ever done by congressional Republicans was allowing our country to hit the debt ceiling in 2025. It was a mistake and is now something that must be addressed. Meanwhile, Congress is considering a spending bill that would give sweetheart provisions for government censors and for Liz Cheney. The bill would make it easier to hide the records of the corrupt January 6th committee, which accomplished nothing for the American people and hid security failures that happened that day. This bill would also give Congress a pay increase. We haven't even gotten to that part of it yet. A pay increase while many Americans are struggling this Christmas. Increasing the debt ceiling is not great, but we'd rather do it on Biden's watch. If Democrats won't cooperate on the debt ceiling now, what makes anyone think they would do it in June during our administration? So let's have this debate now. We should pass a streamlined spending bill that doesn't give Chuck Schumer and the Democrats everything they want. Republicans want to support our farmers. We want to pay for disaster relief and set our country up for success in 2025. The only way to do that is with a temporary funding bill without Democrat giveaways, combined with an increase in the debt ceiling. Anything else is a betrayal of our country. Republicans must get smart and get tough. If Democrats threaten to shut down the government unless we give them everything they want, then call their bluff. It is Schumer and Biden who are holding up aid to our farmers and disaster relief. This chaos would not be happening if we had a real president. We will in 32 days. That last sentence was, of course, capitalized in typical Donald Trump style. And so what I'm hearing right now, and I heard this from a couple of members of the House, and now it's been reported in Politico, that Speaker Johnson, because of the backlash, because of people like you calling into your congressional offices, to your constituent service offices, sending emails, doing whatever. And many of you all in the live chat an hour before the show said you did just that. Keep up the fire because of people like you putting pressure on these members of Congress. Speaker Johnson is now, he's looking for a way to pull the bill from the floor and replace it with a clean resolution spending bill. So the point is, folks, we are winning, and we are winning because of you. Okay, so I've got Savage Rich Barris in the waiting room here. I'm going to do a couple ad reads and get right to Savage Rich Barris, get his thoughts on all of this and a whole hell of a lot more. So stay right there. And while I'm reading this stuff, folks, make sure you smash that like button, that little green thumb beneath the video. We've made the leaderboard every single day for the last couple of weeks. That's because of you. I'd like to keep that streak up. But folks, let me tell you about Sweetamine. Sweetamine is composed mainly of the amino acid glycine. That's the nutrient our immune system uses to regulate inflammation. Most of the diseases that make people sick and die these days are rooted in chronic inflammation, mainly due to a glycine deficiency. We simply don't get enough glycine in our diet, folks. All those aches and pains that we feel as we get older, mainly due to chronic inflammation. Once daily serving of Sweetamine provides 8 grams of glycine. That's enough to stop all excess inflammation right where it starts. With once daily Sweetamine, most people feel the reduction in pain after just a couple of days. So, folks, a 12-day challenge trial pack of Sweetamine is only $19.95 with free shipping. It's sold completely risk-free. It comes in a box just like this. It comes in little packets just like this. All you do, cut it, put it in your coffee, put it in a protein shake, put it in a smoothie. You get 8 grams of glycine a pop. No bullshit, folks. This stuff works. I've been taking it all year, and I notice a legit difference in my chronic pain. I mean, seriously, folks, for all those people that are obsessed with like the bone broth stuff and bone broth makes you feel good. Well, the reason why it makes you feel good is because it has glycine. Well, you can take Sweetamine without taking the bone broth and it works. It's pure glycine. It works even better. So 12-day challenge trial pack, only $19.95, free shipping. And so you can get it online. It's sweetamine.com. That's SWEETAMINE.com, or call 855-GET-SWEET. That's 855-438-7933. So sweetamine.com, 855-GET-SWEET, or 855-438-7933. Use the promo code Sean on your first purchase, and you'll get a $5 discount. That's SEAN on your first purchase. Do not forget that. Also want to tell you about My Patriot Supply. We are in crunch time now. A new administration will be sworn in soon, but as great as that is, that also means our enemies have days left to stir up trouble. We talk about this all the time. This could mean a cyber attack, an invasion, or God forbid, a nuclear strike. So until the longtime bureaucrats are out of Washington, I'm not taking any chances. That's why I have an emergency food supply from My Patriot Supply. Seriously, I'm looking right at it. It's to the right of my camera on my shelf, 2 shelves filled with nothing but food, survival stuff from My Patriot Supply in the event of an emergency. Well, right now, they're offering $100 off their 3-month emergency food kit. In that food kit, you get 2,000 calories per day for 3 whole months, plenty to get you through even a prolonged emergency. And that's the goal. If shit hits the fan and your backs are up against the wall, they say 3 months on a minimum on hand. You can survive 3 months. Chances are your chances of survival go way up if you can last 3 months. So all their food kits last up to 25 years in storage. Plus, they come in rugged, weatherproof buckets. So go to preparewithvnn.com right now to order your 3-month emergency food kit. I've got an emergency food supply in my home because my safety and my family's safety and security is worth it. Go to preparewithvnn.com. Order your 3-month emergency food kit right now, folks. Okay, so we got Savage Rich Barris on deck. Let's get him up on the screen. Savage Rich, welcome, director of Big Data Poll and host of Inside the Numbers and the #1 ranked pollster in the 2024 cycle. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you, my friend. Merry Christmas to everybody. How we doing?
Merry Christmas indeed. You know what, Rich? Before we get into your feelings on the CR and stuff,
yeah,
you want to know how many messages? I got a lot of messages about last week's show. Do you want to know what those messages were about? Savage Rich drives a Subaru? What the hell's going on?
Listen, the Touring Ascent is nice, folks, and it's beastie if you need a little beast action.
Wait,
if you're
the Touring Ascent, is that a Subaru?
It is. Yeah, it's look, I don't want to sound bougie or like I'm out of touch or
That's
anything,
why
but
you say Touring Ascent. You don't want to say Subaru.
yeah, well,
Because you know.
it's a little bit, yeah, and listen, it's gonna get worse because I'm done with the Subaru now. Unfortunately, they reduced the miles that you can have every year on a lease, and I just can't have that. I just can't have that. So, like, just let me pay the extra miles bundle, but they want you to stick to 10,000 so you go over it, and then they can penalize you after. And listen, after being this loyal customer who pays his bills every month for years, I had this car built, Sean. I waited like 3 months for this car, back whatever. And when I got it, I guess it was like going on two. Yeah. So like I just think this is like not the way you treat a longtime customer. So I'm going with something else, buddy. And I'm going bigger and I'm going better.
Wait, you were very clever. What you Touring Ascent is what you called it. I'm like, a Touring Ascent? I've never heard that. What kind of car is that? A Subaru.
It's a little bougie.
I like know what it looks like. It's a Subaru.
I like a little bougie. And it was the
I just picture you driving around in a Subaru Outback.
No, it's bigger
can we
than
just
the
be honest?
Outback.
Can we just be honest? A Subaru's a lesbian car.
Used to be a lesbian car. Yeah, that's true. I knew a lot of lesbians back in Jersey who rocked the Outback, bro. And my friend's dad, who was definitely on the down low, had an Outback. That's so true. I shouldn't even make jokes though. He passed away years ago. I shouldn't make jokes, but hey, we all know it's an open secret at this point. But this is the Touring is like their SUV. It's like, but it's a smaller kind of SUV. But it's like pilot seats, 7-seater. It's nice. But even this, it's just not enough room when you got the kids like I have. Unfortunately, Winston will not even be allowed in this new car without being in because in the Subaru you can it's cool in the back. You can get all this covering for all the, so you can get it leather and gorgeous, and it has this like stuff that's on the back of each seat that if the dog jumps up on the seat, and it's nails, it's no big deal. I mean, they can take them right off and you can put new ones back on. It's not that big of a deal. But I'm going with an Escalade, bro. I'm just gonna say it. I'm going with an Escalade.
Holy shit, Rich.
I'm gonna enjoy it, and the kids better follow the rules in this car because my head is gonna explode if they don't. But
where the hell's Winston gonna sit in the Escalade?
In his carrier in the back. I guess it's extended. I don't even feel bad, brother. I don't even feel bad.
You should get him a little sidecar, get him a helmet and goggles.
Listen, folks, on a serious note, this is why you be responsible with your money and you make sure you have good credit and you pay your bills because you probably, if you do, then you can have nice things if you work hard for them and you earn them. Don't let your finances get out of control. And if they do, it's never too late to fix them and build them back up, So, I'm 43, brother, I mean, it wasn't always like that, but if I want,
I just drive Fords.
I love Fords. I can't wait until the kids are older and I'm in a place where this one doesn't have band 8 times a week. Yeah, 8 times a week. This one doesn't have dance this time a week, and we carpool. My wife is fantastic. I mean, she's like, I don't know how she does it all. Honestly, God, I don't know how she does it all. I'm too old for this. Like, I try to take some of it when I can, which is why I want to take a little time. People notice. I've been telling people on local, it's like, the time is getting short, and I'd like to enjoy some of it with them. The election was a long election cycle, and I would like at least a little bit to just enjoy some time with my kids. So that's what we're going to be doing. I'll get back on the horse as always, right? Real quick.
Yeah, nobody works harder than you, man. I mean, I told folks,
Sean,
we're off next week, the whole week, just to be present with the family.
That's right.
So important. It's
That's
so
right.
important.
That's so true. It's so true. I mean, and the decorating is so behind. It's December 18th. I can't believe it. It's so behind. But now it's starting. I got to tell you, I'll take pictures. I'll send them to you. You got to see what she does with just the foyer in our house. It's just it's like magnificent. The swag on the wall and the garland and but it's insane how much it takes.
Melanie, Commander Melanie has our living room looking like a Hallmark Christmas movie.
That's right. It's like a Hallmark Christmas movie, right? And we did family photos, by the way, not this past weekend. The
You
weekend
did?
that.
Please tell me you did not do the PJ photos.
No.
I can't stand the PJ photos, Rich. Everybody like with their like Christmas PJs like this, like in front of. I can't do it. Don't be that guy.
I'll send him. She even got Christmas cards for them. You'll see. And then one is supposed to be for, you get to take a photo, but then make it look like it's a painting and it can go on camera.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we're going to do, is a family portrait that's going to go in, whatever they call it, like the great room here.
We did that. Yeah, we did
I did it
one like an oil painting looking like.
Yep, exactly. And we took it in front of, everyone knows where my home base is. We took it in front of Tryon Palace, the same photographer who did my, shots for you see my shot, I had her do the fan. She was so fantastic. I was like, look, before I get old, too gray and too fat, I want family portraits. And we brought Winston. He sat perfectly. He was such a good boy. I can't wait to see. I saw some of the shots because we needed them for Christmas stuff, but I haven't seen everything yet. I cannot wait. I put that off too for years, just working and working and working and working. And eventually I'm like, my kid's not even a kid anymore. This boy is bigger than me. He's like this much bigger than me. And, we got to do this now. Wife, of course, looks absolutely gorgeous in them. My daughter is spectacular. My sons are just, it's perfect. It's perfect. I can't wait to see the finished product. It was nice. And we had a good time doing it. It was so nice. And speaking of Hallmark, when you go downtown where I live, it's like a historic area. It looks like a Hallmark movie. It's incredible. So we made a day out of it. It was really nice.
Okay, so while we're talking about we're talking about Christmas stuff. I feel like, folks, you just got to get, like, this is the last Savage Wednesday before Christmas. This is what we're gonna weave politics into it. I promise you, we'll get the news of the day. But you know what, my Christmas cookies, just so everybody knows, the thousands of people who are watching and will listen after, I absolutely love cookies.
Me too.
Straight up.
Me too.
I'm a fanatic. I'm a fanatic with cookies. And my mom, she makes amazing cookies. So does Melanie. My favorite cookies. My favorite cookies are those ones with the Hershey Kisses in them. Like,
oh yeah,
they're like in the middle.
No, like a dollop dunked on top of that.
And my daughter was like, "How are you supposed to eat them?" I'm like, "Well, actually, it's funny you should ask that, because there are a couple different techniques. You can nibble around nibble around the outside to make sure that the chocolate proportionality is in line with the cookie portionality. Yeah. And then when you're done, you've got just the top of the Hershey Kiss and the bottom of the cookie, or you can just eat the Hershey Kiss right off the top, or just bite it in half. Three techniques, all completely fine with me.
Or you could be a big baddie and just slam the whole thing. So terrible. But usually you can't do that because the Hershey Kiss might hit the top of the roof of your mouth.
Correct.
And it's very difficult to chew the chewy part underneath the Hershey Kiss if that happens. So I personally recommend, all right, the half bite. Okay.
The half bite.
The half bite takes the spike of the Hershey Kiss off, right? Because usually like a molar just crushes right through it, but leaves a nice fat portion that goes with the rest of the cookie. Lovely. I love it.
That's a fourth technique, and I'll allow it.
I'll allow it. I'm calling an audible. I'm a cookie lover too, Sean, and it's bad, and I got to work it off every year. It's just the way it is. Also, like an antipasta that we have, of course, on Christmas Eve, we don't have any meat, like that. We have fish, but on Christmas Day and even New Year's, the antipasta is just evil delicious with the super sod and the prosciutto, and I will eat whatever the hell I want to eat on Christmas. That's the one time where I'll just throw caution to the wind. Thanksgiving too. Everybody eats a lot on Thanksgiving, but it's like Christmas is really bad, And then I went downtown when we were there. I went into this place. It's like famed for its fudge. Oh my God. I got the eggnog fudge. What else did I get? The maple pecan or something. I don't even know. There were so many. I couldn't choose. So I said,
you get in your Subaru,
quarter block, and I roll with it. By the way, they also have a super famous Santa. He's amazing. He is like the OG.
You sit on his lap and everything?
Not me.
Oh, sure. Not me.
Hey, Daddy needs something for Christmas too, right? I've been a damn good boy this year, unless you watch Sean Parnell on Wednesday nights.
Everybody's like, Rich is so chill everywhere else except for right here. Rich is so chill.
A little bit. I got to let loose somewhere. Come
every
on,
Wednesday at 5, you just annihilate people.
It's because I got to get out. You know what? I've been popping off. The last month and a half has been a little bit rough on Inside the Numbers. I've gotten messages from people like, look, I like the math stuff. Okay. Maybe you need to cool it down a little bit. And I'm like, look, you're not me. I'm pissed. I'm getting annoyed. It's to the point where, and you know this, we talk about this, Sean. It's like they have turned my job into one of the worst things you could do, which is just listen to people's constant and valid disappointment, right? And I was actually listening to what you were saying, talking about the CR. What do you stand for then?
Yeah.
Like, this is all voters want to know. What exactly do you stand for then? If nothing is ever worth fighting, we have a slim majority. When you had 240 seats, you still couldn't get it done. You wouldn't
exactly
get out of here. So, and you only, by the way, have a slim majority because you're so weak and you're such cowards. You couldn't fight them on redistricting. They clobbered you. You put Fat Chris Christie in charge of something he didn't even understand, and he lost everywhere.
Did you see Trump's meme on Chris Christie?
Bro, that's where the Jones are. Don't worry, folks. We're not being invaded by aliens. It's just the drone delivery service trying to keep up with Chris Christie.
Okay, so speaking of pollsters, I want to play the Scott Jennings sound on CNN. I'll get your reaction. It's in the context of Trump going after the Des Moines Register and Ann Seltzer out there. You were the first to call this out. And kudos to you for that, about how there's some real crazy, shady stuff going on between Democrats and Ann Seltzer before the release of that poll. Were they communicating behind the scenes? Did money exchange hands? And that's the core of the issue. Like, the Democrats and people in the media are trying to make it like, Trump's suing the Des Moines Register because Ann's poll had him underperforming. That's not the issue. Was she paid to do it is the issue. Yeah. Was she coordinating with the Democrats was the issue. So, okay, listen to this, and I want to get your reaction to this.
Where it could go, not just the Donald Trump of it all, but I mean, if he's creating precedent, it's for everybody.
Well, when you introduced, Michael, you used the word narratives, and I think one of the reasons Republicans are cheering on this muscular attitude from Trump and pushing back against some of this is because Republicans feel like constantly media organizations, especially in the throes of campaigns, work overtime to create false narratives that may shape the contours of the election. Look what happened. When this poll came out in Iowa, the entire English-speaking world was talking about the gold standard pollster, and Harris has this momentum. And ultimately what we were told was complete garbage. And if you talked to pollsters at the time, they would have told you, this is not real. This methodology is not good anymore. But that's not what people chose to run with because it fit what most people in the press wanted the narrative to be. So he's pushing back on that. I don't, frankly, have a problem with it. And if they capitulate, it's because they don't want to go through the discovery and what that might show.
Okay, I got it. This is even because they would never have someone like me on, even though I'm the only one who has the full story. People don't know the whole story. And as far as I know, I'm the only one who has the full story. And it's not like I didn't pick up the phone and call everybody 2 days before this poll was released and told them exactly what the poll result was. And I only knew that because this is not the first problem with Ann Seltzer. Okay. I will rewind the clock real quick again. In 2020, the Democratic caucus was going on. She spiked a poll, which no media organization ever should have allowed her to do. But she spiked the poll at the behest of the Biden campaign because Biden was in 4th place. Pete Buttigieg was used as a foil in a fake excuse for why they even spiked that poll. So this is not even the first thing to happen with Ann Seltzer. Both myself and Mike Cernovich got our hands on the results of that poll and put it on Twitter for everybody to see. Okay. And they gave some BS excuse about one interviewer who may, because she doesn't see well, have zoomed in too much on the screen and cut Pete Buttigieg's name off of the screen for 1 or 2 interviews. Even Patrick Murray, who's a lefty pollster from Monmouth University, jumped on my bandwagon and said, no, he's right. This is not a valid excuse. Something is going on here. So this is not the first thing to happen with gold standard and above reproach Ann Seltzer. Then fast forward to 2024, which, by the way, in between, Barnes and I would be on Inside the Numbers, live polling people and showing the results of our Iowa polls. She would come out with constant narrative polling about how Iowa was tied with Biden and Trump, and it was never tied. It was always Trump +6, Trump +8. It was never competitive. And she would narrative poll and make it look like it was close in September. And then come November, right before, she would herd real quick back to our polling numbers and make it look like it was a Trump blowout. Public opinion doesn't move like that. If you have followed me for years, you know one thing, if nothing else, it's that public opinion almost never moves like that. Those are artifacts of the poll themselves and the way the pollster is crunching those numbers or weighting that data. Now, how they collected that month. Maybe they ran into a really bad response bias. Here's what I fear most with Ann, because I'm talking people and how I came to know the result of that poll before it came out. I think it's very likely she didn't get a damn thing for it. That Ann is so twisted. From what I understand, January 6th broke her brain, and it was already on the way to being broken. She's always been a liberal. All right. She's always really been good at polling Democratic support, not Republican support. She missed the 2004 election by a landslide margin, bro. She had Kerry winning Iowa and Bush beat him there. All right. But she had him winning comfortably. All right. So it was like Kerry +5 or 6.
Why do they call her the gold standard?
She's not the gold standard. She hasn't been the gold standard for years because she herds at just the right time. That's why. Because she's hurt. And I don't mean herds towards the consensus. I mean herds towards people who are actually right. Right. So there was like 1 or 2 of us who could poll Iowa. And I swear, bro, she'd be looking at the last minute. Oh, what is this number saying? And herd right back to it real quick. The truth is, it was never tied with Biden and Trump. It was always a beating of the highest order there. And then I told you this when we were polling. I aggregated all of the responses that we had from the state of Iowa in the month of October. And it was almost identical to the margin with minor weights. So I don't even think it was a response bias. I think she's so twisted up that she's lost her ability to be impartial. And that is, by the way, how I'm just going to say this, and I'm not going to get anybody in trouble, or how I know this is because I'm not the only one who believes that. And there have been numerous instances that they have tried to raise, but they couldn't, because Ann's got like a bulletproof reputation. So every time they try to raise concerns that Ann is not impartial, I heard her on the phone talking to Democrats, cackling and laughing about the results. And then when she would try to bring those concerns, they would get shut down in a second, bro. Like shut down in a second. So what do you do when you're in that position? You leak it. And it's not like I didn't call everyone and their mother and tell them exactly what Ann's result would be that weekend. And guess what? I was right. And by the way, you're one of them.
Exactly. That's what I was just going to say. You told me
exactly what it was.
You told me. And what's crazy about this, in Trump's lawsuit, where he goes after the Des Moines Register, he cites a couple of screenshots of Democrat tweets saying, "Wait do you see this Ann Seltzer poll?" So somehow these Dem operatives got their hands on it before it was released.
I understand that she told somebody who's like a Dem operative and a lawyer. I'll just say that out loud. And then that got around through that person, a lot of that. And then they got calls to basically confirm whether or not it was true or not. And she happily confirmed it. I don't want to say, because if I say exactly what her response is, then it may put someone in jeopardy. So I'm not going to do that. But believe me, she happily told them that this poll was going to be a bombshell and it was going to blow the whole thing up, and oh yeah, we caught. And I think too, she wanted to believe it. I think she wanted to believe that there was some kind of movement with Republican women and young voters who cared about abortion. Like, if this is the problem with this job, if you lose touch and you don't know the subjects of your work, like, forget about the scope of the work, but the subject of the work, which is, of course, the voter. And with her, it's Iowa. Does she look like she knows Iowa anymore?
No,
Give me a break. Does she sound like she knows Iowa anymore? Then she goes on Mark Halperin. And Mark, this is for you. You let her get away with that crap. If you would have had me sitting on the side of the screen next to her while she gave you some bullshit excuse, I would have teared her apart in a second.
What was her excuse?
In
What
a
did she
second.
say? What did she say?
First of all, she immediately jumped on the abortion narrative. And the funny thing about that is that wasn't even the number one voting group in her poll. So the demographic itself, all right, that she was trying to blame for the results of the poll were not even the number one or top voting block in the poll. So